What's up? All right. Welcome to episode 4. This episode is significantly different than what I've put out so far. Me and Paxton Hancock did not know each other going into this. We had never met in person. We kind of become friends over social media via Twitter and Instagram and sharing songs and ideas and stuff like that. We have a lot of friends in common, so he reached out to me and said he wanted to be a part of it and said we could talk mountain biking and editing and stuff like that. So, like I said, he reached out to me and I was excited for it. So we jumped on it, and we really, you're really just watching us meet each other. I literally met him like 5 minutes before we started recording. So we didn't know where each other really came from and early experiences, and so we talked about that a little bit with where Paxton comes from, and then he kind of asked me, we kind of turned the tables, and he asked me some questions, and I opened up about kind of where this podcast started to some degree, and it gets a little bit more personal about me and what led up to this. So, like I said, it's a little different, but it's still pretty funny. If you know Paxton, he's a pretty funny guy. And, I hope you enjoy it. Got big things ahead. We're really working on upping the production value of the whole podcast. I should have a logo in the next 2 weeks, and we'll have hopefully put some intro music, some outro music into this. And, it'll just make the whole thing pull it together. So stick with me. If you know somebody that would be interesting to interview, hit me up. If you want to be a part of it, hit me up. Let's collaborate. So I hope you enjoy. And please hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. Give it a rating on iTunes or Spotify or something. Show some love. Share it with a friend. Thanks for your support. And we'll see you in the next one.
Take 2. Gotta have the... Here we go. Now we're good to go.
Yes, exactly. All right. Paxton Hancock, welcome to the program.
Thank you for getting me involved again. Take 2 for those who weren't here the first time.
Yeah, for sure.
This is episode 4, not 3.
Episode 4. Me and Paxton don't know each other. We do know each other via social media.
A couple other people, Nick Wilday and Alex Clary.
Yeah, for sure. Glad to see Clary's back on his feet.
Oh, yeah.
Wilday. Will Day is he's always a weird one.
He's bouncing around every time I see that dude. He's doing something different. You said earlier he's in welding school. I was like, what?
Yeah, he's in welding school. He's gonna be doing big things. Hopefully,
I have to get him to weld up a lift on my truck or something.
There you go. Like Paxton said, Paxton did hit me up, and he wanted to be a part of it, and I was very grateful for him reaching out.
You gotta support your local people, man. This is how it goes.
Yeah, I have had a couple other people reach out, but they haven't necessarily been local. So it's cool to have somebody that's around here that wants to be a part of it, and I'm very appreciative of you.
Glad I could get involved again.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. I do want to bring up one thing. So me and Paxton come from rivaling high schools, essentially. Did you fly bed sheets from your back of your truck?
Watched Pride, baby. Of course I did.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like I told Paxton, I didn't know a whole lot about him, so I kind of dove into his Facebook, and I did see one picture with you holding a bed sheet. Here's the thing. I went to West Monroe High School, and
I know some guys from there that did it too. So.
Yeah, well, looking back on it, there was one time where I did fly a Confederate flag from the back of my truck.
Okay.
And
seeing nowadays, that's a little hotter climate.
Yeah,
to do that I wouldn't do that. No.
I don't approve of it at this point.
Understandable.
It was a school pride matter. A lot of people will tell you that, so I have a lot of people on my back for that.
That's the way it goes, man. Look at the people that went to Ole Miss. Same situation.
Fair enough. So I guess tell me a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what you're doing, what you've been doing.
Man, from Monroe originally. Well, born in Houston, but I moved here like 3, so basically nothing else but Monroe. Lived in Rayville for a little while. That was a good time. Out in the country, get to cut up a little bit as a kid, and it was a lot of fun. Currently, I'm just working up at Scott Equipment, doing a little bit of mountain biking on the side. I used to work for like a paddleboard company and stuff, but we'll get into all that.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess growing up, you grew up in the country a little bit more?
Yeah, I think I lived in Rayville from the time I was like maybe 8 until I was like 12. So yeah, the majority of my childhood definitely spent in Rayville, which
Fair
was,
enough.
not a bad time living out in the country. Had a little four-wheeler, had some trails and stuff I could go run around on. Knew literally everyone that lived on the same street as me, which was like 4 other people. So I got to go and do whatever I wanted pretty much. It was a good time.
Yeah, I've actually been working there a lot recently.
Oh, I feel
so
sorry for you. I see a couple of your posts. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
back in Rayville. I'm like,
Yeah,
ugh.
I've seen a lot of Rayville here recently.
Yeah, probably. Well, there's not much to see, so you've probably seen all of it.
Yeah, I've explored a little bit, gone on some back roads and
Oh, dude, the back roads out there, untouchable.
for sure. So yeah, I guess when did you get to go to Washita? Like you moved back to Monroe?
Funny story. I can say this now. Growing up, my parents were always like, "You got to be hush hush about it." We used one of my dad's friends' addresses, so
Right.
I still lived in Rayville, but from 4th grade, on, I was going to Washita Parish schools, so we kind of worked the system a little bit. But
Yeah, for sure.
it was whatever.
You weren't the only one.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I know plenty of people that use their grandpa's address,
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah. Better schools.
I guess
so.
it happens. I don't know. I wouldn't say better by any standard around here.
So at Washita, did you play any sports or do anything?
I did golf for a little while. I was in a marching band. I was a huge nerd in high school.
Okay.
But I was on drumline, so I was like top tier
All right.
marching band as it comes.
Which drum were you on?
I was on bass drum mostly, and then I did tenors for a short amount of time, but it wasn't anything that amounted to anything.
Were you as tall and skinny as you are now?
No, dude, I was 5'9" when I graduated high school. I was, not very tall. It was just like as soon as I graduated, boom, 6'3".
Wow.
There it is. Yeah.
Lucky you.
I guess.
I'm still waiting on that one.
Buying pants is a nightmare. I'll say that.
For sure. That's cool. So graduated high school and went to ULM?
Yeah, for a short amount of time. I did a couple years of construction, got out of it, tried to start some businesses. Those didn't really work out. Didn't know enough about it. Decided I'd go back, so I'm still doing that thing, unfortunately. But it'll work out.
What happened? Why'd you leave? I guess you didn't skip a year or anything, right? You just went straight from high school to college?
Yeah. No, I did my 2 internships over like a winter break or whatever, took the spring semester off too. Decided that wasn't for me, just left a bad taste in my mouth after those 2. So I was like, screw this, going to get into something else. So I've always kind of been like a computer guy.
What were you pursuing?
Construction management.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got into the IT program up there for a little while, kind of bounced around doing that. And I was like, I think I'd rather work for a little while. So I just worked, went back to school. So still in the business technology area. So I'm trying to finish that one out soon.
Okay.
Hopefully. Don't want to be 30 and still be in college.
Yeah. So business technology is what your degree would be in?
Yeah.
And what does that entail?
It's just you learn how to work Microsoft Word pretty much.
No, don't put it that low. Come on now.
It's got a couple management level classes, but it's nothing, spiffy, nothing to brag about.
Fair enough.
Working man stuff.
Okay. That's fair. So I guess would you say that school is not your forte? Or
no, it's not.
I mean, I'm not trying to judge you.
You're fine. No, different paths for different people.
Yeah,
school,
for sure.
School was not my first option, but it was just like, you know what? Kind of like to tinker. I'm going to get into construction management. Think it'll be cool. Didn't really pan out how I wanted things to work.
Yeah.
So, no, I consider myself more of a worker. I could be more of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I say that because from what you're saying, it sounds like you do have a work ethic. And
absolutely.
You're not just like slobbing around on the couch. So.
I got to be working. Like, I take days off, and I'm like, man, I'm going to enjoy this downtime. And then I'm sitting here for 2 hours, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
It's like, I got to go do something.
Yeah. So your mind's always racing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So looking for the next thing. Side hustles are always, good to have. Don't have any right now. I had like 3 at one point.
What kind of side hustles did you have?
I used to work for a prison supply company doing like their deliveries, and that's a job that's been handed down from like 5 or 6 of my different friends.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was. I mean, anytime the guy was like, hey, can the next person come in and train, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, yeah, he can be here now. Just bring the guy in. I got him on my phone.
So you're just like bringing like toiletries and food or what?
Anything that you use, not food though. Anything that you use in your day-to-day life that's not like eatable or drinkable, we had it. Like razors, soap, shampoo, sheets, shirts, jumpsuits, sweatshirts, shoots. Wow.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Dude, you go into some sketchy places. There was one down south, down in Plaquemine Parish, and it was like elevated. It was like 10 feet in the air, the entire jail. And I'm talking like, this is like a West Monroe high school size like jail facility. Like it's huge,
God.
all elevated, ridiculous.
That's got to be weird to live in, I guess. Weird to operate in.
I'm just glad I wasn't there for longer than my hour to deliver everything.
For sure. So you kind of covered the whole state or multiple states?
We did. Whenever I worked there, we had the majority of Louisiana, and then we had like 5 or 6 over Mississippi, and that was pretty much it. I think we had one in Arkansas maybe, but
Fair enough.
most of the area around here, that was it.
That's cool. So how long did you do that for?
Did that for 2 years, but at the same time, the warehouse that I was working in, there was a guy that like really owned the whole warehouse, and he does like these crazy just like joint ventures, and so he like invested in this paddleboard company boat.
Okay.
And so like I started doing like paddleboards and like doing like the
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
yeah.
The name around
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, dude, it's gotten big around here. He's
it
really
seems
blown
to
it
be
up.
really big. Yeah.
And then I did that on the side, just doing like the showcasing them and stuff, letting people demo them. And then we ended up having like the River Rat Paddle Challenge, which I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, I have. There's like another big race, big paddle race coming up on the Washita.
Oh,
Apparently, it's an annual thing.
Oh, the River Rat's in the fall. If there's another one, that's just beyond my knowledge.
Fair
But
enough.
I did that the first year and actually won my division in it, which, not to talk that up, that was just me against like, a bunch of old people essentially. But the second year, there was actually a lot more people that came out and did it. And then I went for 2 straight on that one, won that one again, not bragging, just a little toss up, whatever. But, it's a lot of fun, you paddle 7 miles, so it's
Yeah.
a little bit of endurance to it.
Yeah. The one that I saw on Facebook the other day was like 32.
Damn.
Yeah, like starting at Lazar Park and like going all the way down to Columbia.
Like a full endurance one?
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was like,
Surely it's not paddleboarders. Surely it's like kayakers. Those guys
I
get out
don't
there and
know.
scream, man. We had like this group of guys from like Jackson, Mississippi or something. It was like 3 brothers. And they had like been setting all these records just like all over the South for all these paddle competitions. So they came to our, little podunk thing that we had set up. It's just like 7 miles. So they just kind of like laughed at it. They were done with 7 miles in like 45 minutes.
Wow.
It was ridiculous.
that's crazy.
And it took me an hour 45 on a paddleboard. I thought I was going to die.
So you pronounce that company Boat,
Boat.
and is that a local thing?
No, they're based out of Destin, Florida. My former boss, he just kind of realized, there's so much waterway around here that's public access. And like, unless you go to academy or something, and you're going to spend $500 on one of those piece of crap things. He was like, let's get something nice going. And so he contacted them and they were like, yeah, there's not another dealer in that area at all. He's like, you guys probably be a good fit. And sure enough, people were coming from like Austin, Texas, Little Rock, Hot Springs, coming to buy them, literally driving that far just to pick up a board. It's kind of crazy.
So were you working out of a storefront?
No, we had a storefront. My roommate Ethan was actually like the first guy to man that. Kind of got him that job, just through who I knew. And I never really managed the storefront, but I was always like, because I did the prison deliveries, so we had the van and stuff already ready to go. We would just load everything in there, take it to demos, take stuff from the warehouse to the shop, whatever needed to be moved around.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you kind of used what you had and to
Pretty
your
much.
advantage.
Oh, I was the work gopher, so I didn't have much of an option.
Fair enough. So I guess, and then you at some point you picked up mountain biking.
Yeah, that was about. I think I got serious into it 3 years ago. My roommate Ethan, whenever I first moved in with him and my other buddy Trace, Ethan had this like nice Trek. I think it's like a Marlin 7 or something like that. You know, black and green, just a hardtail. And I was, kept eyeballing it. Noticed he wasn't really riding it much, and I asked him one day. I was like, "Man, you mind if I take that out?" And so like started wheeling around on it. Then our other buddy Sutton, he would come in town with his bike, and like he wouldn't always be riding it. So sometimes it would be one or the other riding with the other person. So like I would go sometimes. Ethan would take his bike sometimes. So like I started getting into it through that. Then I bought my first used bike, and like you mentioned that Trek 3700 earlier, I bought one of those, but it was like a youth size frame, like way too small for a guy my height.
For sure.
And like how PG-13 are you trying to keep this podcast?
Dude, I had zero cares.
All right. Well, before I divulged anything, my first bike that I got, I traded this guy an eighth of weed for it because it was just sitting in his garage, flat tires, doing nothing. So I was like, hey, man, and I'm not going to say his name. He's got a family and kids now, so I'm not going to put him out there like that. But he was like, yeah, take it. So I had this little crappy Trek 3700 or whatever it was. just like way too small for me, 26-inch tires, and I thought I was cutting up. I thought I was good to go. I was set. So like 2 months after that, I think Ethan and all of them talked me into doing this weekend trip in Arkansas. We went and rode Mount Ida. First day,
Okay.
12 miles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and like it's
You
August.
haven't spent
It's
a day
August.
on a bike?
Nothing like that. Like we'd gone to Ruston once or twice,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
like that was pretty much it. Like I maybe at most I had 8 trail miles logged. That was
Okay.
it.
Fair enough.
So the first trail that we did was, like I said, 12.
I'm about to say, you weren't rolling up to Ruston to LPP and doing the whole thing, were you?
No.
Yeah. I was about to say,
we
'cause
would hit
it's-
like the
it's
first
pretty
mile and a
tough
half.
myself.
Oh yeah, I could hit it now, but I've got much better equipment,
Yeah.
and I'm a little bit more tested. So,
For sure.
but we went up to Arkansas, and I just had that little piece of junk bike, and like first day, 12 miles. We get like 8 miles in, everybody's dying. It's like end of August, so it's still 105 degrees. There's no one else riding, like
Of
no one
course.
else on the trails. Our guide dropped us off, and he's like, yeah, there's not much cell phone signal, so like if something happens, somebody's gonna have to go and find a spot to call, blah blah blah. So we're like, all right, whatever, we're fine. Everybody's got 3 liters of water, we're good. Wrong.
Yeah.
Completely wrong.
Yeah.
Like I said, we get like 6-8 miles in, everybody's just toast. And so like the last like 4 miles, every 100 yards, they had a really bad windstorm. Every 100 yards, just giant tree across the trail. So you're in it. I'm talking like 150 feet to your right going up, 150 feet down to your left going down. You're on this little 1.5 wide trail, and you got to either go down or you got to go up over the tree. And both ways suck because
Yeah.
eventually you're traveling up either way.
For sure.
Then I got to a certain point, and I don't know what it was. I think I was just pissed. I just got on the bike, and I just started riding. So,
Yeah.
like, I left all these other guys behind me, and I get to, like, this nice overlook, and, like, I'm hollering, trying to, like, hear back and see if they're close enough with, like, earshot.
Yeah.
And I don't hear anything. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm trying to, chill, and I was like, man, if I don't get back on that bike now, I was like, my legs are shot. I was like, I'm almost out of water. It's like, I'm not going to make it back. So I just got on it, booked it down the rest of the trail. And then the next day we rode 10 more miles after we got, destroyed drunk that night. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I imagine so.
And it was monsoon raining. It was horrible. It was the worst, probably the worst ride of my life the second day.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't.
All on this little tiny bike. It's just like,
So did you immediately come home and buy another one?
no. I kept that bike for a little while, actually.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that little thing. It was fun because it was so small.
For sure.
I could just like rip it around the trees and stuff. Like,
Yeah, you could
very
really
agile. I
control
could get
it.
around on it. Yeah, but then I started tearing stuff up. I bit my handlebars and I cracked the frame, and so it just sat in my mom's garage. And then I put like new handlebars on it, and I think I sold it in a garage sale for like $10. And then I complained that I didn't have a bike anymore, and so
Yeah.
eventually my dad was like, "Yeah, you've been paying for school out of pocket, and I'll help you out." So he did. I got a nice Trek Fuel EX5. So
Nice.
that's nice. Pretty good upgrade.
Yeah. A large size frame, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was a necessity.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. I don't know. I don't know what else to talk about. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's it like doing road construction?
Road construction. That's an interesting question because I was kind of halfway born into it.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that's the thing. It's like you've done it for so long. So is it just like an everyday thing to you now, or is it like something where you're like, shit, again, gotta grind it?
oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely those days, but
Okay.
there's also the days where like you get to do some really cool
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like we bring in a huge crane, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that's
Yeah.
pretty sweet. Love to climb that thing.
Yeah, jump off of it.
Exactly.
Be a good time.
That is something that I think that's really how we have a lot of the same views, obviously, because if we became friends over social media and
Yeah.
never had a real conversation, like that is, it's something that I'm looking for in life at the moment is just like people who are more into like extreme sports and stuff
Gotta
like
be.
that.
Why be normal?
Yeah.
You're just gonna be the guy who goes for a jog in the woods or something. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, well, and it's weird because like I'm totally like thinking on myself right now, but like I didn't think like I've always had that passion for like watch Tony Hawk
The
do the
next great
900
rush,
and all
yeah.
that kind of stuff, and I watch snowboarding videos all the time and skateboarding videos and all that stuff, and it's just like I say it's not around here, but it is. It's just
It is,
not
man.
necessarily.
Louisiana mountain bikers. We're
Yeah,
around. You know,
it's
we do
just not
stuff.
necessarily in the exact form that I want it to be,
No,
because we don't live in Los Angeles. Like,
no,
there's not people just like riding down the street
no,
on
absolutely
skateboards and
not.
stuff.
No, you gotta make do with what you got.
Yeah, well, and it's like I said, I wasn't necessarily running in those circles.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so,
me either, man. I came across everything that I do now by chance. It
Yeah.
was just, started getting involved, ran into other people that did it. So it was just kind of like, hey, let's be friends.
Yeah, for sure. And I've kind of dove off into the motocross world a little bit.
Yeah. How's that
And
going? I've been seeing that.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's weird because I have two cousins who grew up racing dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And like my uncle is super involved in it. And so all these people that I go meet in East Texas where I do a lot of this stuff, like I tell them my name and they're like, "Oh, are you related to David Mabry and all them?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my uncle." And they're like, "Oh, cool. Come on in here." Like, it's just like, it's a really welcoming place. It's a really family environment.
Yeah.
Like, especially at the amateur
They
level
try to bring
like
people
that.
in.
Yeah, but
You
like,
never want to run people out of what you do.
For
I don't
sure.
understand people like
but
that.
like the only people at the track are moms and dads and girlfriends.
Yeah.
Like, that is it.
Well, unless you get to like the really professional level, then you get,
Right.
a viewership of some sort.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I went to what I thought was going to be a super huge race.
Yeah.
And it was a big race. It was
Yeah.
the biggest race that I've been to and definitely filmed and was involved in. But like, it was still just like moms and dads and girlfriends. And it's like really cool just how much of a family environment it really was.
Yeah.
That's the biggest takeaway that I've gotten out of motocross
Yeah.
is just how nice everyone is and welcoming. And
I feel like that's a thing in like a lot of other sport groups. Like I haven't done any mountain bike racing, but I've definitely looked into it.
Yeah.
Me and my roommates, we're kind of those people, I guess you'd say.
for sure.
So I'm sure there's some sort of community for that too. But like even just like the paddleboard thing that I did, literally everyone that was there, grandparent, mom, dad, significant other, that was it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just like, no one was there watching us. We just kind of did it for the hell of it. But I mean, it's still a cool little community. You meet some interesting people through it.
Yeah. I actually went to another motocross event. It was a vintage bike race.
Oh.
Totally different
Like
environment.
the flat track style bikes?
No.
Just like the old school dirt
yeah,
bikes,
like
huh?
no, like 70s and 60s, like 80s, like 60s and up, like year motorcycle.
Yeah.
And totally different environment.
I can imagine.
A lot cooler.
Well, those are the
Like,
guys that are like out there racing the classic cars and
bunch
stuff.
of old dudes, like just having fun. And
Probably had that same bike since they were like 20s.
Yeah, or found another one that was exactly like whatever
true.
they had. And that's like I say, that's a whole nother environment that I've really fallen in love with.
Yeah.
Like my buddy John that was in another earlier podcast, he's the one who got me out there, and he had never been before either. And like, we're going back in April. Like, we're going back to
you
the
got to
same
make that
race.
voyage. You go
Because,
through one, you're like, hell yeah.
like, it was just so much fun. Like, I can't deny that again. So
That's like every time I go ride like a solid trail, I'm like, man, this one's got to be like a permanent one. Like me and Ethan went and rode Iron Mountain up in Arkansas.
yeah.
I guess that was back in like maybe November or something, kind of a colder time of year. And there wasn't a lot of people out there. So like the trails were just like super like leafed over, which was like a little bit difficult to see where to go sometimes, but it was
Right.
awesome. I was like, man, we got to come back out here and ride this again.
Yeah,
You
for
just get
sure.
like a feel for wherever you go, and like, I think we ran into like one other old guy that was out there and, kind of shot the crap with him. He was from like Dallas or something, literally rode over like a 4.5 hour trip. And like, it's only 2.5 for us. So it's
Yeah.
not this ordeal, but he took like his entire weekend for one day of riding.
That's wild.
Yeah.
My only really good mountain bike story is whenever I was my brother just graduated college, and I was like going into high school or something, I can't remember, but anyway, It was 2008, I know that. And he graduated and had a couple weeks before he started his job, and so we went to Colorado. We had a great uncle that lived up there, and he took us around and took us to a bunch of trails. And I was telling some people this story the other day. Like, I can remember this one day. It was like, I don't even remember what day of the trip it was or anything like that, but it was this huge, just like camelback mountain type deal. So it was a long, steep incline.
Horrible
for
uphills.
like
They're the worst.
3 miles. And whenever we got to the top of it, it just dropped, and it was just smooth and windy,
And all of a
and
sudden,
beautiful.
it was all worth it.
And it was just like, I can remember climbing it and like, man, this better be freaking worth it. And then at the end, like there was a bunch of these like speed check spots, and I was ramping the crap out of them. And
They got the slow down signs. And you're like, what
Yeah.
the hell? Slow down.
like
No,
I say, there was
speed
nobody
up.
out there. We didn't run into a single
Yeah.
soul the whole time we were there. And so one time I was just whipping it and crashed and got up and was
I've
just
got some
like
good crash stories.
screaming because I was so happy with
Yeah.
life and just had adrenaline going. And
Oh, you get excited.
Yeah.
Like the crash is definitely like what the addiction is.
For
Because
sure.
like that's like you realize you pushed a boundary right there.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're learning.
Yeah. That's something that I get out of this and get out of filming motocross is just like that adrenaline pump and
Yeah.
that little bit of, I guess it builds your confidence, builds your swagger up
So
a
how
little
long
bit.
you been in filming and like editing and stuff?
Yeah, just like a year.
Just like a year?
Yeah.
What do you use for
So
editing?
this camera is a Canon 80D.
Okay.
This camera is a Panasonic GH5. Editing Premiere Pro.
Okay. Cool.
Which
Lots
is
of nice features in that one.
yeah, that are like Chinese to me as
Yeah.
far as I'm
I
concerned.
understand. I used that one for a little while.
Yeah, I'm just getting into the world of color correction, and that's a
That's
strange place.
Yeah, there's books and books on that.
yeah. So you mentioned that. What is your experience with that?
Honestly, just my goofy little GoPro videos that I put up on Instagram, man.
Okay.
Like I got like a GoPro Hero 3 a few years back, and I never really did anything with it. I just kind of, recorded some random crap with it, and then I got to the point where I was going to start doing edits with it. And then me and my buddy Matthew, we got drunk one day, and then we went out to the levee with his dog, and I had this chest harness that doubled as like a dog harness too.
Okay.
And I thought that I put it on right, but because I was in the beverages, it didn't work out. So that GoPro was gone forever. I literally spent 4 hours in a pond out by the levee looking for my damn GoPro. And then a couple years went by, and I bought another one. Well, yeah, I bought one from a friend actually, and I just made one, just kind of messing around, made a GoPro video out of, well, not even GoPro, it was my iPhone. Made just a video on my phone out at Ruston of Ethan and Sutton doing like a tandem downhill on like one of the big drop-ins out there.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, you know what, I could kind of trick around with this for a little bit. So I got like the GoPro software pulled up again, and I've got this old software on there that's my favorite one ever was the GoPro Studio, just because it was so simple. There's not all this other fancy crap. Like the color correction and stuff's still there, but there wasn't all these like fancy like transitions and stuff. So there was nothing to bog it down. You always got a clean cut whenever you looked at it.
Definitely.
So that was the one that I used to dabble with, and I still dabble with. But now, whenever I start putting like my phone video on there, like an iPhone 7, it's just too much for the program, so it bogs it down. But I mean, that's probably the best one. And then you just, drop a track on there to sync it to music, and you just make sure everything's kind of lined up the way you want it.
For sure.
And that was it.
Yeah, I guess I can elaborate a little bit more on where all this stuff came from. Like my senior year of high school, I took a video editing class.
Oh, okay. So you got like past experience. See, I didn't even
Yeah,
have that. I was just like, hey, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and so and in that setting, like school is, like you get tasks.
Yeah.
And so like that's a huge part of it, I guess. For me at that point was like, all right, you're gonna go make a beat video. So you're gonna put all your transitions on the beat of the song.
Anytime I would make like a transition video or anything like that, like anytime I made an edit, I already knew what song I was gonna use. So like I would make sure that like my shots were like lined up to where I could like get the timing on things, like make sure it was all gonna sync the way that I wanted. Like that was kind of a little psychotic of me to do, a little premeditated, but that's just like what I found out worked best instead of just like picking after.
Well, and if you can think that way, if you can think that far ahead, like I guess now is difficult for me because I'm like actively seeking songs that aren't copyrighted to where I can maybe make a buck off of YouTube eventually.
Yeah.
And
let me tell you a way to get around those copyrights. You just leave the audio on the video on.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you can't monetize it, but they can't take it down.
Yeah, well, that's what the goal is, monetization. So
I feel that
we're still like
you gotta go to like Sound Library or whatever it is.
Oh, I hadn't even messed with
Dude,
that.
I can tell you about some websites. I've got a couple videos on my Instagram. I tried to do like a Rage Against the Machine, like soundbite on one of my videos. It was on for like 30 minutes. Then I got an email. It was like, oh, we took your video down for violating our sound copyrights. I was like, what the hell? I was like, I'm not even making money off this. I was like, this is just like for shits and giggles.
No, for sure. The first edit that I ever did for motocross, I put a Brand New song. I don't know if you're familiar with Brand New.
No.
They're an emo band.
Oh, okay.
But they're not.
That goes along with motocross.
Yeah. But there was a newer song, and I put it up, and I like still super proud of it, but it doesn't exist on the internet anymore.
As long as you got it, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Dude, I have like so many videos and like edits on my laptop. I haven't posted anything in so long because like most of the time I sew something together. I'm like, this sucks. You know, I can't put this out.
Yeah, and I struggle with that too. But
it's a big deal. It's like, giving birth,
So I did that in high school, and then I went to college, and I basically just like halfway partied my way through college.
Yeah.
I mean,
I did the same. That's why I had to drop out.
Yeah, my parents are like awesome for paying for things.
I had that luxury at first, and my dad was like, "Hell no." He was like, "Not anymore."
Yeah, I mean, I only graduated 2 quarters late, 1 quarter late.
Okay.
But
see, I'm coming up on 2.5 years, so
I stayed in it the whole time.
Yeah,
okay. But Sigma Nu had a lot to do with that, and like looking back on it, obviously hindsight's 2020, but like it just it kind of held me back from exploring who I am and what I really wanted to do. Instead, I was just like focusing on hanging out with my bros and when the next party was and that kind of stuff.
I can relate to that. That's kind of why, like, whenever I took my time off, my dad was like, "Yeah, I'm not paying for it anymore if you're gonna, mess around like this." Which, I mean, figured out what I didn't want to do,
Yeah, and it's weird because obviously I'm happy that I went through it too, because I came out with a whole bunch of friends and a whole bunch of supporters.
Yeah.
And I
also
get
a bigger network too.
Yeah, that. But it's like I also realized that like the fun, super like that whole era of my life is over, and I don't want to go back and do that.
No,
like,
I mean you try every once in a while. Don't get wrong.
Every once in a while, I'll get a little caught up in the mix and wake up feeling bad, but I don't do it nearly as often as I used to.
Pedialyte makes popsicles now, by the way, in case you needed to do that. Dude, freeze
I will
pops.
have to look into that.
They work great.
Dehydration.
Don't have it, people. We're staying hydrated out here in 2019.
That's right. And so finally, whenever for those of you who don't know, I lived in Denver, Colorado for a little while, lost my job, decided to move back home. And at that point, I was also given a little bit of inheritance that I did not know that I had. And so I went ahead and at that point in my life, I think we may have talked about this with Amelia, the podcast previously, but
You talked to Amelia in your last podcast? Dude, she's a kook. She's a good time.
Amelia.
Different Amelia. Shit.
And so...
Sorry, other Amelia.
Yeah. We'll get to you, other Amelia. You're on the list. But anyway, crap. Forgot what I was...
Colorado. Lost your job.
Yeah, so I came back and... can you press that button?
It's 30 minutes, Ethan. That's my job. Yeah. That means I got to get out of here soon, people. We got another guest in the house.
All right, perfect. No, that one's good. All right, so I lost it again. I had it and I lost it. Oh, the job. Yeah, so I came back and I decided that I was gonna start vlogging. That was the dream.
If you're over 22, you start vlogging.
Yeah.
It's a known thing.
So there's this guy that I found on
culture.
YouTube. His name's Austin Augie. He's a BMXer. He's a model. And
he said model a little too hard. Are you a little too interested in that one?
He's a really interesting guy, and he started vlogging like 2 years ago, and he was putting out an episode every day. And
Jesus, what kind of work? He must have nothing else to do. I guess you're a model.
He lived in New York City.
So.
He lived in New York City, and he would do like Uber Eats deliveries on his BMX bikes and like film on the GoPro the whole time, and just all
that guy's got it figured out.
Yeah, he had this formula for a while, and then he started traveling and like going around the world, and so that's what really grabbed
just
my
because
interest.
He was an Uber Eats deliverer. Take notes, people. If you want to make money, Uber Eats.
No, you need to be pretty, and you need to be a model.
On a BMX bike delivering food.
Yeah. So that's I bought a new laptop and I bought a camera and
you said we're rolling with this now.
Yeah, and so
you done anything?
I didn't realize that I couldn't necessarily vlog.
Shoot for weddings
out of Ruston, Louisiana.
No, that's kind of a hard market. Right
yeah,
there. Untapped, but there's a reason
for sure. So kind of got into the motocross deal, and then have actually gotten to film a couple weddings.
Okay.
And got a couple more lined up, so that's gonna be cool.
There you go, money in the pocket,
and just experience behind the camera and the editing bay. is really what I'm looking for right now. If you're listening to this, I'm looking for action sports people to hook up with. Honestly, like.
I'll get you. Yeah, you can definitely come film us if you want.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
we're not any damn good, but I
Yeah,
can drag you
no.
out in the middle of the woods.
No,
you know,
we'll
let you watch some jumps.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely gonna link up and we're gonna put together an edit of some sort at some point.
Sounds awesome.
Soon, hopefully. But at least, yeah, because it's still cold. I'm sorry, thinking out loud. Can't do that when it's 100 degrees
Yeah,
outside.
I feel that. We go over to Ruston sometimes. We'll only sit there and hit the jumps. We'll just all bring our hammocks and just sit there all day.
Totally cool with that too.
That works.
I'm all about the chill scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is where this all started, and like John Moeller had a huge part of it, just getting me or allowing me to follow him around and film him, and
Yeah, he's an interesting cat.
yeah, and just I don't know, I had to find myself there for a little while and build my own confidence up, and I still am and still figuring things out.
Hey,
but
everybody's going through that story, man.
yeah, it's I've kind of starting new to myself. I may not be actually starting new. I mean, obviously I'm not.
If it
I
feels
am
new,
who I am.
if it feels new, it is new.
Yeah,
you know?
and I just got a new, new feel on life,
There you go.
and got to go snowboarding beginning of the year, and I always enjoy that. So
It's a good time. I haven't done that since I was a kid, so got to get up there in some snow soon. I got too much family that lives up there to not be going.
really, you got a bunch of people who live up there.
Dude, like half my family lives in like Colorado, and then I got some that lives in like Wyoming too. Well, only grandparents in Wyoming, so they're not doing any skiing or anything. But they live like 30 minutes from Jackson Hole, which is like the ski spot. You
for
know,
sure. I'd love to make it up there. I've never been to Wyoming.
Me either. I want to go so bad. They've been up there for forever, and I'm always like, yeah, I'm gonna come up there, and then never find the time. You know, it's just how it goes. So I only see them when they come down here.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, Dan, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I figured I'll get out of Ethan's way and let him come in here and spill some
All
beans.
right,
I know
cool,
he's got
man.
some interesting stories.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me, brother.
For sure.